And I think we're back. That is paid for by the committee to elect Cindy Eider. But hey, joining us now on the 21st Century Firearms Hotline is Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, Congressman, let me start by saying it is a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
My wife is a big fan. The gentleman next to me here is a big fan. But the reason we brought you on tonight, you made an endorsement for a U.S. Senate candidate here in Indiana, one John Hostetler. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that endorsement?
Well, John's a good friend. We've served in the Congress together, and he belonged to my Liberty Caucus that we met almost every week and have lunch together and would have speakers in. But he was probably the most interested in what I was trying to do. So we became very good friends, and we basically had agreement on the political issues, and I was very, very much impressed with his knowledge about foreign policy, and that was, one of the issues that was very important to me.
Now, he's locked in a very tight race here with the former Senator Dan Coates. How do you see this race playing out as it comes to fruition here in a couple weeks?
Well, I haven't followed it that closely. John and I talked when he decided to file, and I encouraged him to do that, but I haven't kept up on a day-to-day basis. It just seems like if it goes like the other races like this, one will be construed as being the establishment candidate, the other one will be the grassroots candidate, and I can't see how John can be considered anything other than the grassroots candidate against the establishment candidate. And if you have seen what has happened both in Florida and Kentucky, I would think that John should have a very good chance, but I do not know the details on the day-to-day of what's happening.
Now, I got a question for you. You seem to be spearheading this movement to audit the Fed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's something I've worked on for years, but never got much attention on it because I believe that central bank first is unconstitutional and that it has tremendous power to be able to create money out of thin air, then pass it out and never be audited. And I don't believe in the central bank. I don't think it's authorized in the Constitution, and they caused the business cycle, all the financial bubbles, and all the recessions that follow. But nobody's been interested in it until recently after the financial crisis hit. Then we all of a sudden got a lot of attention on the Fed. We have all the Republicans in the House sign on, and a bunch of the Democrats. We have 319 co-sponsors, and it was passed and put in to the housing bill as an amendment, the financial reform bill. The Senate's working on it right now, maybe today and tomorrow, might be this week. They're going to have to decide what they're going to put in. There will be an attempt by some supportive senators over there to put the same amendment on the bill. Unfortunately, it might be modified by the time they get it on, but at least there's a concerted effort for us to eventually find out what the Fed's doing behind the scenes.
Now, when you ran for president, you were kind of the lone voice out there calling for basically what has happened in our financial system. Do you think what has happened and the way it's been handled has given you some vindication to the naysayers back then?
I think that's certainly part of it because I had been talking about the financial bubble and the housing bubble for quite a few years. And then it did come up during the debate. And at the time, I thought we were in a recession, and it turned out that the end of 2007, the recession actually started. And the other Republican candidates were in denial because we had a Republican president at the time, and that wouldn't be good politics if you said, oh, we're in a mess. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to fudge a little bit. But we were in a recession, and it's gotten very bad, and I think it has still a long way to go, and it has a lot to do with monetary policy. Monetary policy accommodates spending policies. If you spend too much, you don't have enough money. The way the system works is you just print it. And as far as I'm concerned, that's equivalent to counterfeiting and leads to a lot of problems.
Now, I've heard, and I like to, kind of compare you to, you were the Tea Party before the Tea Party started. How do you feel about the Tea Party movements that are going on today?
Well, I think it's great. Sometimes I'm not sure any one person has a handle on it all, and that's probably why it's so great. It's because it is spontaneous. It does remind me of our campaign, because our campaign was very, very spontaneous. It was grassroots oriented, and it was done mostly through the internet and these meetup groups. They would hear something, and they'd share these videos, and then they'd start their own group. And it just sort of was a continuation of that. So there's no one person in Washington. Some people say, "Oh, you got this all started. You're the leader of the of the Tea Party group." I said, "Well, we might have had the first modern day one, but really, there's no one person that's in charge of this. It's just that a large number of people are very, very frustrated, with what's happening in Washington. And this is one way they can get together and sound off. And it's pretty amazing how many people come out to these rallies. It really shows how upset the people are."
Do you make it to any of these rallies?
I did the other day to the one in Washington, on tax day. I spoke there. There was a nice crowd. I have scheduled myself more to going to the universities and talking to young people, and I have a receptive audience there, because so many of them realize, what kind of mess we're in, and the difficulties they might have getting a job, and they're very interested in the Federal Reserve, and quite frankly, they're interested in the things that are important, like personal liberty and a sensible foreign policy. And there's a great response from young people. So I spend more time when I schedule events to go to college campuses.
Hey, Ron Fusselman has a quick question for you.
Okay.
Hey, Congressman, it's great to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you.
I guess my question would be, are you gearing up for 2012?
Not necessarily. I've told people I haven't ruled it out, but it's a long way from being ruled in. I haven't made any decisions. There's so much going on right now, and there's no pressure to make a decision now. A lot of people ask me about it, but at the present time, I have no plans.
Well, I can tell you this, Congressman. Here in Indiana and around the Huntington area and the Fort Wayne area, by the way, Indiana's second largest city, I still see Ron Paul for president. Bumper stickers on cars and yard signs still out in the yards.
Well, I guess that's good.
Do you think you'll be able to connect to the Tea Party groups in this movement that's going on? Do you feel confident?
Oh yeah, I think so. Even though there's no platform for the Tea Party, and there will be a variation of views, but it seems like they're very receptive to what I'm talking about, because I've been talking about it for so long. Limited governments and balanced budgets, sensible foreign policy, sound money. All of a sudden, the people say, "Hey, that sounds pretty good. How long can we live with these kind of deficits?" The deficits are exploding every day. National debt this year will probably go up near $2 trillion. So this is unsustainable.
Well, hey, Congressman, we want to thank you for joining us on Talkin Politics tonight here on FM 100 Talks. We'll keep a good eye on John Hostetler for you. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Congressman.
Congressman Ron Paul.